Playing guitar is pretty easy. All you have to do is put one finger here, and that's it. Okay, there's a little bit more to it than that. This video is for the absolute beginner or the returning beginner who wants to start fresh, slow down and learn things properly. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to pretty much assume that you were born yesterday and that this video is your first ever experience with a guitar. In this video, I'll be covering the parts of the guitar, how the guitar works, basic technique, and I will also show you how to play your first chord, being an E minor chord, with absolutely flawless technique. This is a guitar. Specifically, this is an acoustic guitar. We'll get into the difference between acoustic guitars and electric guitars later in the video. As you could probably guess, these are the strings. The names of the strings are E, A, D, G, B, E. The acronym that guitarists use to memorize the names of the strings is Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. Pretty gruesome, I know. The thickest string is referred to as the low E string, and the thinnest string is referred to as the high E string. This is because they are both called E, but one is lower in pitch and one is higher in pitch. We say this to distinguish the two E strings from each other. The strings are tied to the guitar via these, which are called tuners. The tuners are housed on the headstock or the head of the guitar. The tuners act as a way for the strings to stay what we call in tune. And in tune pretty much just means that the strings play the correct notes that they're supposed to. If your guitar is not in tune, then everything will just sound a bit off and it just won't sound as good. How tuners work is that they wrap the strings around the tuning posts to tighten each string, and they let a little out to loosen them. If you take a rubber band, the more you stretch it out and tighten it, the higher the pitch gets, and the more you loosen it, the lower the pitch gets. The guitar strings work in the same way. The strings run through the nut and over the fretboard, also called the fingerboard. The strings continue to run over the sound hole and into the bridge. These are called the saddles, and they pin the strings to the body. The fretboard and the part of the guitar behind it is jointly referred to as the neck. These wires are called frets, and the dots are called inlays. The inlays serve as visual markers to the player, so it is easier to see which fret you're playing on. Inlays are generally on the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th and 12th frets, and then they repeat. This is called a cutaway or a cutout, and it allows the player to play higher up on the neck without the body getting in the way. Some guitars, like this one, don't have a cutaway. This is a pick guard. It guards the body from getting all scratched up from playing when your pick hits the top of the body. Some guitars, like this one, don't have a pick guard, and we just have to accept the fact that we're going to scratch it. Okay, so now you know what the guitar is and the parts of the guitar, but how does it all work? When you play a string, that string vibrates. The vibration from the string causes the top of the guitar to vibrate as well. Since all sound is just air vibrating, when the top of the guitar vibrates, this causes all of the air inside the guitar to vibrate as well, and it all escapes out of the creatively named sound hole in the form of audible sound. The reason different guitars sound different has to do with the kind of wood they are made from. Different woods have different levels of rigidity, and some are more solid than others. And so different woods can allow the air to vibrate more or less freely, resulting in different sounds and tones. High-end guitars generally sound better because they have what's called a solid top. A solid top means that the top of the body of the guitar is made out of just one kind of wood, and this generally results in a more powerful and overall better tone. Lower end guitars generally have what's called a laminate top, which is like heaps of thin sheets of wood called veneer glued together, and all of that glue, that usually dulls the sound of the guitar and just results in a guitar with more dull, less vibrant and less penetrating sound. Difference between acoustic guitars and electric guitars. Unlike acoustic guitars, electric guitars do not have sound holes. How they generate sound is completely different to acoustics. Electric guitars turn the vibrations from the strings into sound using these, which are called pickups. Pickups are essentially like electromagnets, and they generate a magnetic field around them, and then when the vibration from the string disturbs that magnetic field, the pickup sends an electrical signal from the guitar to an amplifier, and then that amplifier then turns that signal into fully sick audible sound. A lot of beginners, when they're first starting out, they usually ask, is acoustic and electric guitar, are they the same to play? And yes, they are. For the purposes of playing, they are exactly the same. If you can play one, you can play the other. It's the same thing pretty much. If you can play one, you can play the other. It doesn't matter. They're the same skill. Now that we've got all that stuff out of the way, I'll show you how to actually play. Okay, so for the purposes of teaching you, I'm just going to assume you're right-handed. That's just going to make things easier for me to teach because I'm right-handed, but if you're left-handed, just pretend I'm saying left when I say right. So first things first, sit up straight and then rest curve of the guitar, this part, on your right leg. Place your right elbow in a comfortable position on the corner of your guitar. For me, that's just right here, but make sure it's comfortable for you. To hold the pick, make a hook shape with your right index finger. Place the pick in the center of this hook shape, then clamp down with your thumb. When holding the pick, I prefer to have as little of the pick showing as possible. Some people prefer a bit more showing when they're playing. Do what's comfortable for you, but from my experience, less is best. Now, the tendency for a lot of beginners, when they first start playing, is when they're trying to fret notes and play chords and stuff, they tend to flare their thumb out to the side, like that, or over here. You don't want to do that, you want to avoid that. So your thumb is there to support your other four fingers. So you want your thumb to be directly behind your fingers when you're playing. If you keep your thumb a little bit up, like that, that's not the end of the world. Okay, I do this sometimes as well. But you just want to keep your thumb directly behind your fingers. Your thumb is there to support your other fingers. This is where it's going to be able to support your fingers the most. So you want your wrist to be just underneath the neck. So see where I've got my wrist just here? See how it's just underneath the neck, right here. So when you're playing, you want it to just be underneath the neck. You don't want to be too far forward like that. You don't want it to be too far back like that, just underneath. How to strum. So when you're strumming, the main thing you want to be thinking about is painting the strings. Okay? So with your pick, when you strum down, which is this way, you want to be aiming the pick so it's facing upwards. Okay, so see the top of my pick is pointing upwards, and you want to imagine you've got a paintbrush and you're just painting down, and then it's the same thing when you come up. So paint on the way down, and then angle your pick in the other way, so it's facing down, and then come up. Okay, so you're painting the strings like a paintbrush. Just like that. You don't want your pick to be facing straight, because if it's facing straight when you're strumming, you're just going to get hung up in the strings. Nice painting motion up and down. Also notice how I'm not strumming with my wrist and I'm not just doing this. The strumming motion, it's all in your elbow. Yes, the wrist must remain loose. However, the whole movement is in your elbow. See how I'm moving from the elbow. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this with my elbow. Keep practicing strumming before you move on from here. Strumming is a very important skill. How to pick the strings. Picking is a little bit different from strumming. What we want to do for picking is the complete opposite to strumming. When you pick, you don't want to be painting the strings. Imagine with your pick that you're trying to cut the strings, like you want to sort of go straight through it, like that. See, I'm not like this, like that. Picking is not a mini strum. Picking is a whole separate thing. You want to think about trying to cut the string with your pick. And picking, it's all in the wrist. So again, it's opposite of strumming. all picking is in the wrist. It's not a mini strum. See how when I pick, I'm only moving my wrist. I'm not doing this. Not with my elbows, with my wrist. It's not with your fingers either, like this. It's all in the wrist. Okay, so now how to fret. For example, if I want to play the 3rd fret on the low E string, so the frets are counted from the headstock. So this is the 1st fret, 1, 2, 3. This is the 3rd fret right here. So when you fret, you want to come over here and put your finger just behind the actual fret itself. I'll come closer. See how my finger isn't directly on the fret itself? If you do that, it's going to sound very dull. So you just move your finger back just a little bit and you play just behind the fret. You don't want to go too far back either, that you're nearly touching the fret before, because that's going to get that buzzing sound. You want to go just behind the fret that you actually want to play. Don't overthink this part. There is no like 3.5 mils behind the fret. No, it just behind it. Like there's no exact science to it. It's just behind, where it's not going to buzz and it doesn't sound muted, where it sounds clean just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to play an E minor chord. This chord is one of the easiest to learn, and so it's perfect for beginners. Now, before we start to play the chord, your fingers, they're counted from your index finger. Okay, so your index finger is called your 1st finger. Then your middle finger is called your 2nd finger. Your ring finger is called your 3rd finger. And your pinky is called your 4th finger, okay? So remember, thumb directly behind your fingers here, not out like that, just directly behind. Wrist just underneath the neck. So we want to come to the 2nd fret of the A string, okay? So first one's E string, A string, E, A. Then on the 2nd fret, so this is the 1st fret here. 2nd fret here, 2nd fret A string. That's with your 2nd finger, okay? So 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. And next we're going to put our 3rd finger, so the ring finger, on the 2nd fret of the D string, okay? So E, A, D, 1, 2. 2nd fret of the D string, okay? Put your 2 fingers here, and then you're going to strum all 6 strings. Again, if you need to replay this part of the video, that's completely fine. Keep doing that. Just keep on practicing this chord, thinking about all of the proper technique, right? Keeping your thumb behind your fingers, holding the guitar properly, strumming properly, fretting properly. Just think about all that and keep practicing that chord. Well done. You can now play your first chord with absolutely flawless technique. For the next few times you practice, just keep playing around with these ideas that we've covered in the video. Keep thinking about holding the guitar properly, how to strum properly, holding the pick properly, playing the E minor chord properly. Never sacrifice technique. It will only hurt you in the long run. Where to go from here? If I were you, and I wanted to get as good at guitar as possible, as fast as possible, I would do 2 things. The first thing I would do is pick one course or program and stick with it. It is so vital to just find one course or program or creator that you like and stick with them, rather than just endlessly doom scrolling on YouTube, trying to find some secret, untold guitar hack that's been kept away for thousands of years and that'll instantly transform you into a stage-shredding, face-melting rock star. There is no secret hack, it doesn't exist. The only way to actually get better is to practice and put in the effort. Now, obviously I would prefer that you stick with my program and keep watching my videos, but for your own development as a guitarist, it is so much more important to just find one program that you like and stick with that. The second thing that I would do is practice daily. Practice consistency is so much more important than overall practice volume. This has been proven time and time again, but I have also seen this from my own personal experience. Our brains learn things a lot quicker and more effectively by frequently revisiting what we're trying to learn rather than just trying to bang it out all in one big go. It is a lot more effective to practice 1 hour a day than practicing 7 hours 1 day a week. If I were you, I would aim to practice 20 to 30 minutes per day. 20 to 30 minutes a day, I reckon, for a beginner is a pretty good amount of time. It's long enough so that it gives you enough time to actually practice everything, but it's not so long and so dragged out that it's a massive inconvenience for your normal routine or schedule. The thing about guitar is it doesn't even take 20 to 30 minutes per day. Honestly, you can make noticeable progress if you only even practice 5 minutes per day. If you do practice 20 to 30 minutes per day, I would honestly expect you to progress pretty quickly. Before you move on from this video, or before you try and learn anything else, I suggest that you master everything in this video before moving on. I wouldn't expect the stuff in this video to take you that long to master if you practice consistently. The reason I say master all of this stuff before moving on, because all of this like beginner, basic technique stuff, think of it as your foundation for your playing. And without a solid, strong foundation, you don't have anything to build off. And if you move on from this video and try to learn something else, but you can't hold the guitar properly, you can't strum properly, you can't pick properly, you're not really getting better, are you? If you learned something from this video, please like the video, subscribe, ring that bell. My name is Seth Webster. I appreciate you all for watching. I'll see you around.